Marcus Aurelius had a philosopher at his side who told him what he wanted to hear. He also had critics, rivals, and senators who despised him, and historians note he learned more from the second group than the first. Here's the uncomfortable truth: the people who hate you are paying closer attention to you than the people who love you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to extract the intelligence your enemies already have about you, use it to close your blind spots, and become harder to manipulate by anyone, including yourself. Your friends protect your ego. Your enemies protect their advantage. Napoleon's inner circle celebrated every campaign plan he brought to them. His enemies, Wellington, Kutuzov, the British intelligence network, dissected those same plans for weaknesses. Kutuzov didn't flatter Napoleon. He studied him. And at Borodino, he used what he found. Your friends are invested in your emotional state. Your enemies are invested in finding the crack in your foundation. Friendship runs on emotional safety. When you share a plan with a friend, their first instinct is to support you because they want you to feel good and because your failure reflects on them. An enemy has no such incentive. They have every reason to find what's actually wrong. That means when an enemy criticizes you, you're getting a rare commodity, unfiltered signal with no social lubricant. Most people flinch from it. The Stoic uses it. Enmity reveals the shadow self Jung said you'd never see otherwise. Carl Jung observed that what we despise in others is often a projection of what we refuse to see in ourselves. But the inverse is also true: what others despise in us often points to something real we've buried. Lincoln's political enemies called him indecisive, two-faced, overly cautious. Lincoln used that feedback. He understood that the perception, even if unfair, was a signal about how he was communicating power. He adapted. The Emancipation Proclamation was timed with a military precision that silenced the critics who called him weak. Enemies aren't emotionally invested in softening the message. When they attack you, they're often articulating something that people in your life have noticed but never said. The insult is the signal wrapped in hostility. Your job is to strip the hostility, isolate the signal, and ask, is there 1% of truth here? 1% is enough to work with. The way an enemy tries to manipulate you shows you your actual pressure points. Seneca wrote in letters to Lucilius that the man who knows himself cannot be shaken because nothing an enemy says will surprise him. Think about a man who's been passed over for promotion twice. His rivals at work know he responds emotionally to perceived slights. So they engineer small slights. They CC his manager on emails where he made minor errors. They know his trigger. And they use it. He doesn't even realize he's being played because he's never mapped his own vulnerabilities. Seneca's point was simple: the enemy already has the map. You should too. Manipulation requires a lever of fear, an insecurity, a need for validation, a sensitivity to status. Your enemies have already identified yours because they've watched you react. Every time an enemy successfully gets under your skin, they've handed you a diagnostic. What they pushed on is exactly where you need to do internal work. The man who can look at the lever and feel nothing has removed the enemy's power entirely. Contempt from an enemy is often misplaced respect. Nietzsche wrote that the slave morality of resentment targets what is strong, not what is weak. When someone works hard to undermine you, gossips about you, tries to diminish you in rooms you're not in, that's not indifference. Indifference is silence. Active hostility costs energy. People don't spend energy on things that don't matter. Think about the coworker who became quietly hostile the moment you got promoted. That hostility was a confession you represented something he feared he couldn't achieve. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that men are more dangerous when they envy than when they hate. Contempt that has heat behind it is a signal of perceived threat. When you reframe enemy behavior this way, not as evidence of your worthlessness but as evidence of your impact, you stop absorbing the wound and start reading the data. The Stoic question isn't why do they hate me? It's what did they see in me that made them decide I was worth hating? Using your enemy as a mirror requires one discipline: radical non-reaction in the moment. Epictetus was a slave. The men who owned him had power over his body, his movement, his daily life. He developed a discipline he called the dichotomy of control, ruthless separation between what is in your power and what is not. When his master once twisted his leg to demonstrate dominance, Epictetus calmly said, "You're going to break it." The master broke it. Epictetus said, "I told you so." No rage, no collapse. This wasn't passivity. It was strategic detachment that allowed him to observe with clarity what a reactive man could never see. When an enemy provokes a reaction and gets won, they've extracted intelligence about you and neutralized your ability to think. The reaction closes the aperture. Calm keeps it open. The pause between provocation and response is where you do your best analysis. Viktor Frankl called it the last human freedom, the space between stimulus and response. In that space is your power. Enemies shrink when that space exists. They grow when it doesn't. 3 things to take with you. First, your enemies are studying you harder than your friends are. Treat their critiques as unfiltered intelligence, not emotional attacks. Second, the way someone tries to manipulate you is a map of your own vulnerabilities. Use it before they do. Third, your first job when facing hostility is non-reaction. Not because the enemy deserves your composure, but because you do. The man who can receive a hit without flinching, extract the signal from the noise, and use it to sharpen himself, that man cannot be controlled. Marcus Aurelius did it with a dying empire pressing on him from every side. Epictetus did it with chains on his wrists. The tools are the same. The choice is yours. If this landed, if something in here named something you've been sensing but couldn't articulate, subscribe. We drop one of these every Tuesday and Friday. No filler, no motivation fluff. Just the hard ideas that actually hold up under pressure. Hit the bell so you don't miss it.